I'm State Senator Michael Rodrigues from the 1st Bristol and Plymouth District, and welcome to another show of Voices from the Hill. I'm honored to be joined, as usual, by State Representative Paul Schmid and State Representative Alan Sylvia, and soon we'll be joined by our other colleague from the Greater Fall River Legislative Delegation, whoever's going to win the election of the 6th Bristol seat.
Yes, in fact, by the time people are watching this, we may know who will be the 4th seat here.
Yes, we just had a little luncheon with Carol Fiola, the winner of the Democratic primary, and that was quite enjoyable. And, you know, for all the people in Fall River that say that Paul is the best-looking legislator, you know, in the delegation, I have to say.
Really? Did you get the name of the person who said that?
There were actually a couple I've heard that from. But that we could have an issue there. But it was delightful to be able to spend that time with Carol and to talk about some of those issues that we share, because it was my first opportunity to hear her speak about things like EBT and some of the concerns that we all have with the district. So I thought that was great.
And it's nice that we regularly get together at least once a month for lunch, we being the two of you, and also Speaker Pro Tem Pat Haddad from Somerset. She's very much involved in all of the issues that's important here in the South Coast.
I'm happy she is, because as I told you, heard me tell her today, Pat, you're the most powerful lady on the South Coast, and she is. She doesn't throw that weight around, but I know when we need her and we're going to look to sit with the Speaker, it's very important to be able to go to Pat and say, Pat, you know, what do I do? Because, you know, I'm still new at this. I know, Paul, you haven't been around 100 years.
I feel also in the second term new. Hey, you know, Alan, actually, arguably, she is perhaps, I think you could say she's the most powerful woman in the Commonwealth.
Yes. She has
so to have her to be part of our delegation,
it's important to us.
It's important.
So,
be careful, Attorney General Martha Coakley doesn't
well,
hear you say that.
I said
because
arguably.
She has subpoena power, and you know, she's got some power. She has some powers that we don't have also.
But Pat has the power of the purse strings.
Pat, you know, Pat and I share, and I worked closely with Pat when I was in the House, as both of you do, and now that my district, my Senate district, includes Somerset in her community, her home community, I can tell you it's a pleasure working with her on issues.
And she has concerns for Fall River. I mean, obviously, Paul and I have all most of Fall River, but Paul has a section of that. It's all your district, right? So she has a great interest in what the issues are with jobs, public safety, all of those things that are near and dear to us. So it seems to work out well. But the best thing, and I'm not saying it because we're doing the show, but when we get a chance to meet at least once a month, and I know we've been doing that, how good that feels to be able to share our thoughts, our ideas, to stay on the same page, because, and I think it's important for people to know how much it is a team means when we're dealing with issues like EBT and dealing with issues like public safety.
One person doesn't get anything done.
No. So I feel good every time we have that chance to meet. We always share events and things, but when we get to the details of how we can actually help, you know, something we said we were going to mention, we haven't really talked about it publicly, and that's Cook Pond. For many months, we've been working on that. We started at a meeting with Senator Rodrigues' office and with Fishery and Game, and lo and behold, we have $500,000 that's going to involve a new pier on Cook Pond, on Henry
Now, why is
Street.
that important? Why don't you explain to folks? Maybe there might be some folks that don't know where Cook Pond is, or why that's important.
Sure.
I know it's important to you.
It's very important to me. I used to swim there when I was a child, and my father would whack me every time I did, because there were people who always drowned there. And at that time, in those years, Bone Mill was still going strong. It was a textile factory. King Philip Mills, they were dumping raw sewage into that pond. It's in the south end of the city on Dwelly Street. It really surrounds up to Tiverton, Rhode Island, and but it's right there where the Armory is. But for so many years, that was a dumping ground. Of course, now it's clean. There's fish. We talked about restocking it with fish, and I know we'll be able to do that. And what that means, and I asked people to envision, and we've talked about this, but to envision a walking path around Cook Pond, and what that would be like with lighting and cameras for safety. I know the mayor recently signed an agreement with us to pave Henry Street, and we're going to have a parking lot down there, and again, we hope some cameras so that people can utilize that But what a gem. We're going to be meeting in a couple of weeks, or next week, with Julie Kelly.
Yep.
She's been working with the Youth Corps, Conservation Youth Corps, to open up already a section of a walking path. We don't have much to go. You know, when you look at a huge project like that, a walking path with lighting around Cook Pond, say that's impossible. It's going to be millions of dollars. Not the case.
Yeah. Talk about the difference that's going to make to folks in the South End.
Incredible difference. And just to go out there, to be able to enjoy that resource that people never enjoyed.
Yeah.
They never saw that pond as a place to recreate, to be able to walk around, or even to boat or swim. This is an opportunity that's going to be a great thing for Fall River.
So this is an example of how we work together. It may be in Representative Sylvia's district, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the delegation doesn't get behind him, push it.
Absolutely, Paul.
Because you know what? I know you're going to do the same.
Absolutely.
For us.
And you've done so much. Senator Rodrigues, that's your district, and he's done an awful lot for the Cook Pond issue and getting us together with the fishery and game folks. But you have been so involved. Your position on the Conservation Committee, that's been very important. And you might as well bring up Horseneck Beach. Now, Horseneck Beach is definitely not in my district, but
well, you're welcome there anytime.
I've been there.
You know, it's only $7 a carload, for heaven's sakes.
And that's an upsetting issue, because if you and I go to Grinnell's Beach
in Tiverton,
Rhode Island, we have to pay $15 to park our car. Yeah. A resident of Rhode Island pays nothing.
Yeah. Now, when somebody from Rhode Island comes to Horseneck Beach,
it's the same fee.
Same $7. So
you know. Do you think we'll ever be able to do something about that, Senator?
We could do something about that. We could bring it up, and we could
file a bill.
Generally, we could file legislation. Mm-hmm. Generally, issues like that are done with regulation through the regulatory process, but there's nothing to stop us from filing a piece of legislation. And Horseneck Beach has been the resource that I've worked a lot on over the last 15 years, and we've been successful working with the whole team from the South Coast. Yeah. We have 2 brand new state-of-the-art bathhouses,
What a gem.
Oh, they're gorgeous. We have a brand new beach services building that not just includes the administrative offices, but the locker rooms and the storage facilities for the lifeguards, and those are world-class lifeguards at Horseneck Beach. Those are real lifeguards.
It's a beautiful place.
It's a gem of the region.
But we have more work to do, and
What's next?
We need to upgrade the parking lots. We need to, and we should be installing some electronic gate equipment to encourage people to get
It's kind of a long line on busy days.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the campground, and we've got a major capital investment to upgrade. That campground was constructed in 1958, and it's the same way it's been for the last 50 years.
And I know that it closed down at least twice over the summer. That period of time when it was very hot there back in August, the beginning of August. It closed because it couldn't take on any more folks. Yeah. There was no more parking. Yeah. And if you looked at those plates, because I happened to go one of those days, you look at the plates, there were Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York. Yeah. You know, what's wrong with this? Yeah. Let them pay the fee to upkeep our environmental police, to keep our beach clean, to pay our lifeguards. You know, those are the things. And there can't be too many residents that would be upset about that, because we're picking up the tab when we go to visit their beautiful beaches.
Well, a decision was made that the fee would be flat for interstate or out-of-state patrons, and there's certainly nothing saying that we can't change that.
I know we're working on something very similar for the lobster fishermen right now. None of the annual lobster permit goes back into research, and the suggestion has been, hey, for people who are here on vacation, out-of-state people, why not bump up their lobster permit and have that extra amount of money go into research? So it's the same idea, isn't it?
Right.
They're all big issues, because any way we can lessen the effect of any increase in any fee to anyone in our Commonwealth, especially
people are paying enough as it is.
They're paying enough. So. I'll bring up the budget again only because I think that we're getting a big bang for the dollar. We're getting an awful lot for the small price that is being paid. And you look at the software tax, look at the 3 cents in gasoline, and I'll tell you, look, how about the millions of dollars that are going to be spent to beautify our waterfront? It's going to bring those ramps down. That's going to make that boulevard what it is. I know you've all seen the same 3D show about how that is going to look. I think that's incredible. And we've got the beginnings of South Coast Rail. We've got the money there to get that engineering and permitting started. Once it starts, there's going to be no stop, and we're going to have a rail here. And the day we can bring that train up and bring it near the battleship is going to be an incredible day. And I hope we're all here for it. I think we will because it's not that far away.
We've got to make those investments,
yes.
But at the same time, we've got to be very careful on the tax load we ask our residents to bear. And the old days of Taxachusetts, those have passed. Our tax load in Massachusetts is now right in the middle.
Yeah.
And yet we've got world-class education.
Yeah, our students rank #1 year in and year out.
We've been able to put away, we've got the 3rd largest rainy day fund of any state.
Yep.
Our state's debt rate.
Almost $1.5 billion.
Yeah. And you know we'll need it.
Oh, eventually.
We go into a downturn again. That's what helped cushion the downturn.
There's only, I'll correct you, there's only 4 states in the country that have a rainy day fund over $1 billion, and we're one of them. Yeah. So for the people who think, we always say, always negative. The people who think that we're not above the curve, we are. I'm on the Public Safety Committee, and when I look at what the federal government wants to do in changing firearms legislation, all of those issues that they want to deal with, we already dealt with in Massachusetts. In 1994, we corrected the assault weapon issue, the magazine capacity. We did all that. So we're way ahead of the curve on a lot of those issues, and even on healthcare, I have to say.
I mean, Massachusetts leads the country day in and day out. Healthcare, firearms, same-sex marriage, Massachusetts is ahead of the curve.
So, there's lots for us to be proud of. And I'm excited about what the future holds, because when I see what that is going to look like when those ramps are down, when the train is in, these are things that we had visions of for years and we only talked about. And now the money is where it's supposed to be. And thankfully, we're going to be the recipients of that.
The money, as far as the so-called spaghetti ramp project, the Route 79 and 195 interchange, that contract is out. As the show airs, you're going to see construction already starting. There's going to be 3 years of major disruption because we're tearing down and replacing the central east-west and north-south arteries, and right in the heart of downtown Fall River.
There's going to be some inconveniences.
There will be, but what's important is, there's going to be dedicated websites. There's going to be live stream television cameras where you can go online to see what's going on. We're going to have regular public hearings and meetings so that the citizens of this area, those that are going to have to travel those roadways, can be prepared for know what to expect. Because there's nothing more frustrating when we're running to an appointment or we have a meeting to go to, and then we get somewhere and we realize there's a detour.
And, I know, Senator, you had conversations with the contractor that's doing that work. Yep. We had an opportunity to meet him up in Taunton at Department of Transportation, but and I know I didn't mention this to you, but I wanted to ask you because someone brought it up to me the other night. What about Fall River jobs, contractor jobs, subcontracting work for that project? Because I think that would be a big deal for us.
Well, let me tell you, I did meet with Vincent Barletta, who's the 3rd generation Barletta from Barletta Construction. It's a 100% union company, so all the labor are going to come out of our Fall River locals. The labor is local, the carpenter is local,
Wonderful.
The paint is local.
Wonderful.
So these are all local jobs to local people. He's looking to utilize as many local merchants as he can. He said, we're going to go through thousands of dollars a month in miscellaneous hardware, nuts and bolts and cans of paint and grease and oil, and he goes, all that's going to be purchased locally. All of these.
So how do local merchants find out about these opportunities?
Well, the Barletta Construction will be visiting the local merchants to establish accounts and to set up accounts with them and to do business with them.
They're also going to be at a public hearing that we're going to have down, I think, at Heritage State Park soon.
Okay.
When we unveil the
probably
the film.
When's that going to take place?
It'll be by the beginning of September, or the latest. So I don't know when the show's going to air. Probably in September, but that's the first of regularly scheduled public hearings. But it was very obvious to me that Vincent Barletta absolutely knows it's important that he and his company and hundreds of contractors are going to be in this city every day
'Cause
that he
obviously
give back to
those
that
jobs
city.
are important.
Just think of all these contractors that are going to have lunch every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And as far as time, because you hear these comments, one thing I like, I love to promise that we never say a negative thing about Fall River, because you always hear negative. But
It's easy. That's because negative is easy.
But positive. The positive. When I was at that meeting,
It's much easier to say what's wrong than propose an
I
idea of how we can improve something.
First of all, I was impressed with.
Fact is, there's a lot of good things going on right now.
When I listened to the contract, I was so impressed at what he said and the things he said. I was also shocked and very happy to hear there's actually a payment system in place so that they don't, if they go over the amount of time to complete that job, they have a drop dead date. If they go over that every week, they lose thousands of dollars in the contract.
There's an incentive and disincentive clause in this contract.
If they finish early, they're actually going to make money, extra money, which I think is an incredible thing. They're going to want to finish early.
Right.
So it's not going to be the bridge to nowhere that we heard comments of. This is going to be a project that's going to get done, and it's.
Well, it's great to hear government using the same techniques that businesses use. Yeah, put in a disincentive if you don't make your dates, and if you're ahead of time,
That's right.
get paid extra.
I was totally impressed with the meeting. Department of Transportation, Commissioner Davey, they do a great job. I guess I've seen them. Of course, I see Treasurer Steve Grossman in action and how good, what kind of an operation he runs, how organized that is. But second to the Davey in Transportation, they're even going to have a camera, a time-lapse camera on the government center.
Yep.
Steve, you'd appreciate this. It's going to be on the government center where they can actually look at these ramps as they come down and what that's going to look like, because it's so hard to envision. If you say, oh, the ramps are coming down, there's going to be a boulevard down Broadway, you can't even envision that. But when you see it, how it looks when it's dropping, I was amazed by that to see, and it's going to look beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be tremendous, and all that in the long run means better access, better motor vehicle access, pedestrian access, bicycle access to our waterfront, which is an important for our tourism industry. And I know, Paul, you've been working very hard on reviving the Tourism Bureau here, the so-called Southeastern Mass Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, we've worked.
Give us an update.
We've worked together on that, haven't we? And Alan, you've pitched in on that. Yeah, you and I were both concerned 2 years ago that the state has money for local visitors convention bureaus, but we were getting none of that money down here on the South Coast.
Right.
Why? Because our bureau had basically gone inactive.
Right.
So we said, come on, let's get going. And thankfully, the Fall River Chamber of Commerce,
yes, along
Rob
with the
Mellion, New Bedford Chamber of Commerce, Rob Nascimento, stepped in with the Chambers of Commerce from Taunton, Attleboro, and Mansfield. And together, the five of them revived our convention bureau, and they've already been pitching the South Coast at various regional tourism efforts. And why not? Look at the assets we have here. Horseneck Beach, the historic districts of Fall River, the Battleship, Massachusetts, the Whaling Museum, and you could go on and on.
Now, and it's interesting, and some of the things I know we have heard, but it's important to let people know. When I heard some of the like the LD lighting that we're talking about, to be able to, we had the commissioner down from tourism. Right. What's her name? Corey Atkins.
Right.
Yes.
The chairwoman of the
chairwoman of the Joint Commission.
House chair and co-chair.
We're talking about lighting the entire battleship. So when you come over the bridge at night now, you see darkness.
Right.
To be able to see that battleship, that area lit up every night. Also, the other thing about the train, that to bring that train to the battleship and have we've all heard of dinner trains, but this would be the World War II train. When I heard that concept,
like a troop transport train,
there would be two members of military dressed World War II uniform, and they would actually say the street they came from in Fall River. Hi, my name is Paul so-and-so from 3rd Street in Fall River, and I'm leaving right now to take this train to Providence and then down to Fort Benning, Georgia. The year is 1944. with World War II big band music in the background, and that whole train ride around the World War II era, what that would mean to,
It makes you want to sign up for a ticket right now.
Because, and when I hear those kinds of things, because I had never heard of that concept before, we hear dinner trains, but this would that theme concept of World War II, the military, and with the battleship, think about that. That's big business.
Yep.
And those are the kind of things that excite me.
Well, tourist dollars are important because they're bringing outside dollars into the local economy. So, and most of the visitors for the battleship aren't local. It's right under our nose. Every time we're on it regularly, we're on her regularly for events. We have a naturalization ceremony coming up in a short time. These are great events, so we're on her all the time, and it never ceases to amaze me every time I go on the Big Mamie, a new program or a new display, or Brad King, the director there, is
that Pearl Harbor experience. If people haven't seen that and you live in Florida, I always say this, and I tell Brad this. We just had a meeting there, obviously last week, but I tell Brad, when I was 11 years old, I actually sold tickets. I was a member of the Boy Scout troop up the south end of the city. We sold tickets, 50 cents to go aboard the battleship Massachusetts. I had only been on it a few times my entire life. I lived here all my life, so there are many people in Florida that don't have an opportunity. Children who are students, classrooms, please, principals, your children can go on that battleship for free. The history that we have in our community is incredible.
Now, by the time people are watching this, we will have had Navy Day, which is August 25th. I know that's going to be a big success. I know people will have turned out to visit, and it actually honors all
armed forces.
Armed forces. So that's going to be a great event, and I hope they continue it every year.
Well, that's just one cog in the spoke. And the waterfront between, like you said, the battleship, the Marine Museum, that's now revised and doing very, very well. Having the South Coast Visitors Bureau promoting the region, the Narrow Center for the Arts, world-class entertainment. I have so many friends of mine, people that I meet up in Boston say, I was down in Fall River.
That. It's amazing.
I was down in Fall River. I saw some world-class entertainer at the Narrow Center for the Arts. What a cool place.
Hey, and I got to say, I was up at Jerry Remy's on Tuesday evening, sitting outside, looking out on the river. What a view. By the way, I had a lobster. How do they call it?
Chicken fried lobster.
Chicken fried lobster. Unbelievable. But to sit there and look.
Westport lobster.
You're right. I didn't ask.
Yeah, okay.
To look, I'd be sitting there looking out over the river. There's soon going to be more restaurants opening up on the waterfront.
Beautiful. It is beautiful to look across the river, and
it all means jobs.
Yes.
That's what excites us.
Well, we're doing things. Yesterday we had STEM. We had that. With that grant for BCC, we were all there supporting that $312,000, I believe, that's going to work with science, mathematics, technology, engineering, all of those things to attract, to get students prepared for that skill that's necessary so they can get those jobs when the biopark opens and keep them here. So people do not leave Fall River, they stay here.
Well, there's a new industrial revolution beginning to boom in the United States, in the world. And that's the clean energy revolution. And we're going to need a trained workforce, whether it's solar or wind or marine generated renewable energy. We're going to need everyone from installers to technicians to troubleshooters to designers. And Bristol Community College is the place to provide that education and training.
Jack Sprague doing a wonderful job.
Oh, absolutely.
And as we said yesterday, people in Fall River like to work. They want to work. We just need the skills, and the programs like that one are going to give us the skills.
They're doing a great job over there on Duval Street, where they have the training CNAs and training others to GEDs. I couldn't believe it. I gave a civics class. They invited me down. I brought 25 booklets with me, thinking that, gee, how many could there be? 150 attended my civics class.
Wow.
150 people. I was shocked. You know.
So what did you talk about?
Well, I mentioned you.
You did?
I mentioned their state senator.
Oh, okay.
So but it was important to let them know how a bill is filed and the history in our Commonwealth. And I invited them all to the State House.
That's
so
a
they could
wonderful
see that.
community.
You know,
thing
for
we
a
could
civics
do.
lesson, what happens occasionally at the State House, as a matter of fact, it happened in the city of Fall River, is in this case in Fall River, the Talbot Middle School, a group of 7th graders, researched and filed a piece of legislation naming the Rolling Rock there on County Street as the glacial stone of the Commonwealth. They came up to the State House, they testified before the committee, they were part of the process. Now, we were criticized. Whenever you see that, you get criticism from, especially from a certain Boston tabloid that thinks we're wasting our time, that there are more important things to do. There certainly are a lot of important things for us to do, but to teach, to give these students an opportunity to participate in the legislative process is something that's going to stick with them for the rest of their life, because now they know the process and hopefully they'll be involved in the process.
And it's important. You know, we talk about how hard it is sometimes to get a bill passed. Well, it's not that hard. You know, I'm doing that with landlords, and that may not pass this year, but I'll tell you, it's gotten an awful lot of attention.
Yeah.
I've got the speaker talking about it. We have other people co-signing and on board to try to get those folks to understand the importance of gateway cities who need relief, landlords who need a break, so they won't foreclose, and people understand how important that is. So, and thank you all for being a part of that cause.
And I thank
Happy
you
to help on
for
that.
promoting civics, because unfortunately, as with MCAS, and we're, teachers are almost forced to teach to the test, and they're measured on either English language arts or science or mathematics. I think what's lost in a lot of conversation is civics, is current events. I mean, my age, I always talk about my favorite class in high school was my current events class, where our only requirement was to subscribe and read the New York Times every day. Now, this was back in the late 70s, mid-70s. And it was Richard Nixon, B.B. Bozo, just post-Watergate. B.B.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that name in years.
Spiro Agnew, just post-Watergate. And it was the New York Times, and we talked about it every day. And I knew what a congressman was, a U.S. senator, a state representative.
They don't know today.
The
Kids
the
don't know
levels
today.
they don't.
How many college students? Look at what is it? Whose show? He does that show, night show. What's his name? Jay Leno.
Yeah.
College students. Could you tell us who the vice president is? They mentioned Hillary Clinton. I mean, they have no concept at all of who holds office, what they do, the judicial branch of government, what the legislative branch means. Why are there only so many senators? Why is there 160 state representatives? All of those things. 5 signers of the Declaration of Independence were from Massachusetts and actually patrolled the halls that we're in.
Right, it's amazing, isn't it?
That is an amazing thing when you think about history and you think about the room and the desks we sit at, Paul.
Well, it really makes you
I think Paul Revere sat at your desk, by the way.
Did he?
Yes.
Well, very briefly, before he got on his horse.
Very briefly. He was holding lanterns down the street.
Well, it's an honor to have our position.
It's an honor to have our position, and I want to extend a broad invitation to anyone out there. If you ever want to come and spend the day in Boston, spend the day with Rep. Sylvia or Rep. Schmidt or myself, just call our offices. We drive up there every day. I always say I've got a big back seat. I've got room in my vehicle. Come up, walk through the halls of the State House, see the Freedom Trail, enjoy the Boston Common, and see it in action. And I can't tell you how many times when a constituent takes me up on that offer, how
it affects them.
How it affects them. And they're like, wow, I never
realized.
realized.
They have no idea what that means.
Well, and we can give a little tour of the State House that many people don't see. We can kind of give them the background.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. And once again, you're watching Voices from the Hill, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much to the team here at Fall River Community Television.